This flipping cable. Get off! Howdy folks, and welcome back to the Adams Eats Kitchen. Now for today's recipe, I thought I'd show you how to make my spaghetti and meatballs. Really simple recipe. It should be quite a quick video because I've already made the sauce. And the reason for that is because I've already done a video on it. It's just my simple basic pasta sauce. And I'll put a link for that up on the screen somewhere so you can go and watch it. And I'll also put it in the description below as well. And this recipe is perfect for a nice midweek family meal. You know, you'll serve sort of 4 people with this, no problem. It's nutritious, it's good for you. There's lots of veg in that sauce as well. So if you're worried about your kids getting their 5 a day, sneak the veg in the pasta sauce. Now for my meatball recipe, I'm going to use both a mixture of beef and pork. And the reason for that is if you use just beef, you know, the meatballs are going to be quite tight and quite dense. So by adding fatty pork, breadcrumbs, the egg and all the other bits and pieces, you're going to get a really nice, soft, moist meatball. That sounded a bit inappropriate. Family channel, Adam. It's a family channel. It's your dirty minds. It's your filthy minds. It's not me. It's you. Anyway, let's crack on with the recipe. If you look down below, you can get a list of those ingredients. And also, if you press that pause button now, you can get a list of them there as well. And the first and, well, really only thing we need to do is to make the meatballs. So if you get your noggin down here, I'll show you what to do. Right, okay, so I've got my mince here, I've got my pork and I've got my beef. Now you can see the pork mince is quite fatty and the beef mince is quite lean. Okay, you don't want to kind of have both fatty or both lean, you want a mixture of both. So it's up to you whether you use fatty beef or fatty pork. I don't know why, but that just sounds really wrong. But anyway, that's what I'm using. And to the meat, I'm going to add some salt, some black pepper. Be quite generous because there's quite a lot of meat here. I'm also going to add some oregano. I'd say about a generous teaspoon. Next, I'm going to add some breadcrumbs. These are fresh white breadcrumbs. You want about 80 to 100 grams. Next, I'm going to crack in an egg. Get that in. I'm also going to add some Parmesan cheese. Be as generous as you like. Depends how much you like Parmesan. I'm going to go in there with about 3 tablespoons. Generous splash of olive oil. And I'm just going to pop that to one side because I've got a bit of chopping to do. Right, so what I'm going to do now is just chop up some parsley. This is just going to add a nice bit of freshness to the finished meatballs. There's no real exact measurement, just a nice handful. Bunch that up and just chop through it. I mean, this is just a basic meatball recipe. You can have whatever you like. You know, you could have some basil in there, thyme, garlic. It's entirely up to you. So I'm just going to gather that parsley up and add that to the mixture as well. And because I'm feeling a bit spicy, I'm going to add some chilli as well. So 1 small chilli. Just take off the end. I am going to use all of the chilli because there's quite a lot of mixture, so I'll just remove those seeds. I mean, the chilli is optional. I mean, if you're making this for kids, you're probably not going to want to add this in. I'm just going to finely dice it and then just gather it up and add that to the mixture. And I'm just going to move that out of the way. And now we need to get mixing. And there's no easy way to do this. You've got to get your hands dirty. So just get in there. And you've got to mix everything together. Make sure those 2 meats are combined together as well. Now there's a misconception about breadcrumbs that, you know, they're generally used as a filler. It's not actually true. What the breadcrumbs do in any kind of, you know, meatball, sausage, is it retains all the moisture and you end up with a much juicier, more tender product. Okay, so that's our meatball mixture done. We now need to form them into actual meatballs. Right, so all we're going to do to make these meatballs is take some of our mixture. You don't want them too large, roll it in your hands. I mean, you can use the cold water trick, you know, to kind of stop all the stuff sticking to you, but I've never really bothered. That's the sort of size you're looking for. Stick that on the plate and then just repeat that with the rest of the mixture. Right, okay, so here's the finished meatballs and now we need to brown them off. So I'm just going to add some oil to this pan, just a little bit, and I'm going to put it onto a medium-high heat. And once the oil's nice and hot, we're just going to get our meatballs in. Now we're not looking to cook these all the way through. All we're looking for is a nice light golden brown colour before we add them to the sauce. So this should take about 2 minutes. Right, so after a couple of minutes you can see they've got a nice golden brown colour. You know, turn them after about 30 seconds or so. You know, try and get as much colour on there as possible. And once you've done that, we're going to get these into our sauce. Right, so once you've added the meatballs to the sauce, you know, you just want to take a spoon and just kind of, you know, nap some of that sauce over the top so they don't dry out. Be quite gentle with them because obviously they're not quite set, you know, so you don't want to break them apart. And then all that's left to do now is to pop a lid on, and then I'm going to simmer those for about 10 to 15 minutes until the meatballs are cooked through. Right, so we're about 5 minutes into the cooking time. We now need to get the pasta on. So I've got my water here that's come to a rapid boil in a nice big pan. I'm going to add some salt. Now I'm only going to do 1 portion of pasta because I'm going to save the rest of that, and I don't want to make too much pasta because it's just going to be a waste. But like I said before, this will serve 4 people quite happily, and you want roughly about between 80 and 100 grams of pasta per person. So I'm just going to open my pasta. I'm going to get my spaghetti in, and I'm going to turn it down to a simmer. Now you really want to cook pasta for 1 minute less than what the packet tells you, and the reason for that is because as you drain it and then add the sauce and everything else, it's going to continue to cook, and you don't want to overcook it. You still want that nice al dente bite. Now the packet says 9 to 11 minutes, so I'm going to give this about 9.5 to 10 minutes, and once it's cooked I'll drain it and then we'll mix the two together. Right, okay, so I've drained my spaghetti, and now what I'm going to do is just take the lid off this pan, and I'm just going to add some of the sauce to the pasta, and all we're doing is just dressing the pasta with that sauce so all those flavours can mingle together. And now that we've dressed the spaghetti, we can now serve it up. Right, okay, so I've got my nice warm plate here. We'll first go on with our spaghetti. Get a nice big pile of that. Just kind of make a little bit of a well in the centre. Next, we're going to add a portion of our meatballs. 4 or 5 per person is fine. And then what we want to do is to add some of that sauce, and just kind of nap that over the top. And then of course, to finish it off, some Parmesan cheese. Now some fresh basil on there would be quite nice, but I haven't got any. But basically that's it, really simple. That's my spaghetti and meatballs. Let's tuck in. Right, let's have a look at this puppy then. Smells delicious. Of course I'm going to go for one of those meatballs. Just kind of get a bit off. Let's try one of those meatballs. They're so soft, much more juicy than an all beef meatball. You know, adding those breadcrumbs really soaks up all the juices, keeps them moist, and it gives them a really pleasing, soft, crumbly texture. And you can taste that chilli in there. The oregano works nice as well. It's just a really simple, hearty, nutritious meal. Well guys, I hope you like the recipe. Again, it's ridiculously simple to do. I mean, you know, it's just a bit of pork, bit of beef, some herbs and spices, cooked in a tomato sauce, which again, I'll leave a link to that. But that about wraps up, ooh, excuse me. Ooh. But that about wraps up today's video, guys, so thanks for watching. Now if you like what you see, then please like the video, share it across your social media platforms, and if you'd like to show me some love, then please subscribe. And of course, if you stick around at the end, there'll be some links to some other videos, and if you'd like to subscribe, there'll be a button for that as well. And I'll see you beautiful people next time for more tasty fun and frolics, and adios for now.